Hello, my amazing artists, and welcome back to Art While Apart with me, Miss H. Well, Happy New Year! We did it. We are in the year 2021, but today I want to take some time and reflect on the year that was 2020. 2020 was a really wild year. It was filled with a lot of challenges, a lot of new things were happening, and I just wanted to take the time to highlight the fact that we are all living through very important times in history right now. And it's an exciting thing. And I want you to think about how your art can tell the story of 2020. So, we're going to use some tools like a timeline to help us create a time capsule, which will then be used to store all of the memories and experiences that you had in 2020. And because 2020 was a challenging year, I also want to highlight the fact that it was a year of lots of new discoveries, different advancements in science, and also lots of very important conversations were being held in families and with friends all over the United States, but then also the world. And so I want to focus on where we are in time and space. We're going to use a timeline to help us. So if you see right here, we are now in 2020, and this timeline is going to help us kind of think about how to create a pandemic time capsule. Okay, so to begin, let's talk about some world history. And you might be wondering, why are we talking about history when we're supposed to be studying art? Well, art has always, since the beginning of time, been used to document events that are happening in that time. So, artifacts and art that has been discovered from since the beginning of time tells us stories of different people in different parts of the world. So, art history and world history go hand in hand. So, let's go over just a few acronyms in case you haven't heard these before. The acronym BC stands for Before Christ, and then the acronym BCE stands for Before Common Era. Now, these two acronyms mean exactly the same thing. BC and BCE is at the very beginning of time. And then AD means, it's Latin for Anno Domini. I hope I said that right. And it means year of our Lord. And then CE means common era. Now, AD and CE mean exactly the same thing. That just means current time. What is happening in this time now? Okay, and before we move on, I'm going over this because historians and scientists have started using BCE and CE more often, but it is good to be aware of all of these acronyms and to know that BC and BCE mean the same thing, and AD and CE mean the same thing. Okay, but then now let's use this timeline to help us see where these acronyms go. Like, what does this really mean? Well, if we look at the timeline, right, it's just a line and it has times on it. So this is the start of time, and then we advance forward until historians established on the year 0. Then from 0 to present day, where we are in 2021, this is known as the Common Era. So if we look here, we are here, right, present day 2021. And from start of time up until, but right before, historians established the year 0. We call this BC or BCE. And then from 0 to present day, that is 2021 years later, from 0 to where we are, we call this AD or CE, the Common Era. Okay, so timelines can be huge spans of time, like we just saw, or it can be a shorter amount of time. From here, we can use this timeline to show important events that happen in your life. So obviously you can tell we're going to read from left to right, and we can see that different big events that happen, we can show those on the timeline. These are kind of big things, But then we could also break down in a timeline something smaller, like the timeline of someone's day. So my typical day, I wake up at 6 a.m., I shower and get ready. Around 7:50, I drive to school. 7:15, I start teaching, and then I'm teaching from 7:15, and my next big event would be eating lunch, or my break, I would eat lunch at 1, and then at 4 p.m. I go home. So timelines can be used for all different sorts of things, but the main important thing is to know that it is a way to show events and when they happened in time. Here is something that you can do to learn a little bit more about some art history, which is really cool to dive into. If you click on this little picture on my first slide right next to this video, it will bring you here, and you can actually click on these pictures to learn more about the history and events that were happening in that time. Again, let me just highlight that here. So these from 40,000 on, we call this BC, and then or BCE, before Common Era. And then if we fast forward and we go to the year 0 would be about, around here. And then we fast forward to 2021 when we use AD or CE, Common Era. All right, friends, so there's about 3 main goals that we have for today. One is to learn about timelines, which you're doing by watching this video, but also please click on this picture here so you can learn more about art history. I've also included some more videos in case you're curious to learn more about timelines. Second is that we are going to create a time capsule. So hop to my next video and I will show you what a time capsule is, what it's used for, and how we are going to create our own time capsule to commemorate 2020 and all of the events that happened this past year. And third goal is to collect some artifacts. As you'll see in my next video, a time capsule is used to collect and store different artifacts that represent and tell stories from that time. So our time capsule is going to be for 2020, and you will fill different artifacts that represent what happened in that year and what you experienced. I'll show you all sorts of ideas for that in my next video. So for now, go ahead and hop on to this slide, learn a little bit more about art history, and then we'll get started for our time capsules.